Hey guys, this is Dwayne again. We wanted to talk about if your car needs alignment and how to know if it needs alignment. So you get into your car and the tire pressures are good and the alignment and the steering wheel is straight, the car does not need alignment. But if you're driving your car with your hand on your wheel and the steering wheel is straight and it goes left or it goes right, we need to do an alignment. Now, if you're turning your car and it's really hard to turn, well then maybe the guys had too much fun on hole number 9 and they're making their own cart path. One other thing that I really want to tell you guys about is if it's too easy to turn, like it returns real fast or it's a little bit squirrely, your toe is in too much and you need an alignment. And I want to encourage everybody this week to make a new friend. And you just might find out that this world is pretty small.
Hey guys, so what I want to say is when you're sitting in your car, even from a club car to your personal car, when you're sitting in the driver's side, you have a left and you have a right. And if you look at our parts, if you ever need to order parts from Clear Creek Vehicles, the clevis is stamped left. See how the spindle only has one arm? That's left. This spindle has 2 arms. That is the right spindle. Here is your camber adjustment cam bolt that I wanted to show you all. And if you just take that, and that's what gives you the camber on your club car. All of our leaf springs have bushings and sleeves in them. Sometimes you'll have to replace the bushings and sleeves. We run with the A-arm on top. We run with the kingpin that the spindle sits on. And in between the kingpin and the spindle is a wave washer. So on top of that is the clevis. And remember, driver hand side is left, passenger side is right. And that's how you'll tell the difference. Now, Club Car calls this a front frame assembly. I call it a shock tower. And that is your parts on the Club Car front end. Thanks, guys. So today we're going to talk about the E-Z-Go front end. With E-Z-Go, you have 2 yokes on the steering column to the rack and pinion. And then you have a rack and pinion system here. And now, it's not been long ago, E-Z-Go went to this new front end style. It is a strut with a coilover, it is a spindle, and a control arm. And the kind of cool thing about this car is there's not very many wear items on this car. Like these are metal for the spindles, like the bushings of it, and that's metal. The only wear items you have is inside this A-arm, inside that A-arm, and it's completely different to their competitors, and competitors make us better. Hey guys, how you doing? We want to talk shocks this morning. And what I want to talk about the shocks are, one of the things that people mistakenly think is this is a ride height adjustment. It's not a ride height adjustment. You can take that shock all day long and it will just come up and go down. It will never keep your car to a spot that you want to desire the level. But when you take that shock and you hit a bump, that's when it does its work. So what the shock is going to do for you on your front end is when you hit a bump, that shock's going to throw that tire back down to the pavement and try to keep your tire on the pavement. And Lord knows some of us need it because some of us have a little bit too much fun and we put the carts on the side like myself. So the better this works, the more stability you're going to have on your shock. And another thing with the Club Car product that I want to show you, what we've been running into is we've been seeing the bushings come off and the nut. So if you're ever driving your car and you feel like the rear end's loose, you might need to see if those bushings and nut are on the car. Now, the shock's in the rear. The biggest thing about this is if you're hitting a bump and you're trying to stop and that shock's no good, well then it's just going to let the tire dribble and you're not going to stop like you should. If a shock is blown out, you will see oil and dirt coming down around the cylinder. And that's going to tell you to replace your shock. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Hey guys, good morning. So today we're going to talk about bushings and sleeves on your Club Car product. One thing that we have noticed is some of the bushings on the Club Car product is squeaking. And if that does that, then you need to get some of this multi-purpose grease with this calcium grease. And I'll show you here in a minute how to install that. But with the bushings and sleeves, we have those bushings and sleeves on every leaf spring on the car and in the A-arms. So a lot of people will take DB Blaster, they'll take WD-40 and they'll squirt the bushings, and the sound will go away for about a month, but then it'll come back tenfold. And we're going to teach you how to do this properly and get rid of that noise. And with the bushings and sleeves, it's just stability when you drive, and just makes the car feel good, and it'll be right underneath you on the bushings and sleeves. Here are the bushings and sleeves on the front leaf spring, and then you have bushings and sleeves on the A-arms. If you do get squeaking, we will have to knock these sleeves out and put some grease on them. Now also in the rear, we have bushings and sleeves on our Club Car product here and here. And to let you know about the little bit of the noise that we have with this, you hear that? So when you sit down in the car and you hear that, or you turn the vehicle, that's very aggravating, and this is how we're going to fix it. And that is how we fix the squeaking in our Club Car vehicle. And guys, today, go out and help somebody if you can. Have a good day. Hey everyone, I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope you kept the tires on your golf cart. And that brings us to the subject this week of hub bearings and wheel bearings. So on the hub bearings, you always want to just move the tire and see if you feel any movement in the tire. But the biggest thing on the front hubs are, if they're starting to go bad, when you rotate the tire, you'll be able to hear the bearing going bad, and that's when we know we need to replace it. Back here on the rear tires, it's the same thing. You're listening for any noise in the bearing and any movement. If you have any movement, then we need to go in there. You can take that axle out and replace that bearing. So in uncertain times, we can either act like a turtle and go into a shell and stay at home, or we can be a lighthouse providing light to everybody in the world that seem to be in the dark. Have a good day.
Today we just want to talk about brakes and what to look for when you need to adjust your brakes or have a brake job done. So the very first thing I want to say is, when you're out on the course, or if you're out at your house and you're hitting the brakes and one tire locks up versus the other, that's very dangerous. We need to fix that and adjust your brakes. The second thing is, I don't want the brake pedal to hit the floor, and we'll show you how to adjust that out. With this car here, that pedal is going way too far down on the floor. So one of the very first things I do on a brake job when I'm inspecting the car is I always grab the cable and pull it, and I make sure that the clevis and the pin returns and that the cable is not seized inside. So the first thing you might have to do is take a hammer and tap the drum off. The first inspection of the drum, we were looking for grooves or lines. That actually looks pretty good. And then the thickness of the brake shoes. We're always looking at that also. So at this point, we will just clean and adjust the brakes. So we'll just take the glaze right off the shoes, and then we'll do the same thing with the drum. Just using some emery cloth. We'll take some brake cleaner. We're just going to clean everything up. And then when you get done, you're going to have a nice, almost finished surface. Now, if your brakes are squeaking, you will need to take these shoes off and then put some dry molly on the back of the 3 legs that hold the brake shoe. But if they're not squeaking, you are finished at this time.
So our brakes on the Club Car is they are self-adjusting brakes. And what that means is you can put them in reverse when you get the brakes done, and back up and hit your pedal, and they will adjust themselves. They're self-adjusting brakes. Now with that said, I'm going to show you where I would like to set them so both sides brake equally. So on the self-adjusting brakes, you can go in reverse and hit the pedal and back up and adjust it. But I don't think it adjusts enough for you. So what I always do is adjust the adjuster right here to about 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch of play right here. You don't want it tight, completely tight, because then your brakes are going to get heated up and then they're going to fade away. Now, earlier we were talking about cars locking one tire up versus the other. So if you adjust these to about 3/16 of an inch right there, and this one also to about 3/16 of an inch, then they should break evenly. If they don't break evenly, and after you get done adjusting like that, then one of your brake cables is probably stretched and you need to replace it.
So up here on the brake pedal, to adjust this out correctly, as you can tell, the pedal goes down way too far. So per club car to this mount right here, this frame mount, should be 2 inches, and right now we're sitting about 2 3/8. So we're going to adjust the rod up, and to do that correctly, there is a bolt that goes back here, so you're not just adjusting the top part of the bolt. So that is 2 inches to the frame right there. When you push that pedal, it's just perfect right there. Now another thing is too on your brakes is there's a lot of heels around here, and you always want to make sure your park brake latches. If your park brake does not latch, then the mechanism inside here might need to be replaced. So the last thing I got for you guys is the community you live in. I started being a staple in my community and getting to know all my neighbors. So maybe you want to go out and meet some new friends, and maybe meet your neighbors and have a good time, guys.
So today we're going to talk tire pressure. And what I want you guys to understand is under pressure, like 15 to 20 pounds, is going to wear off the shoulders of your tires like this. Put too much pressure in your tire, it's going to wear off the center like this. If you hit a curb and knock the camber out, it's going to look like this on this tire. So on this car here, this is the guy that hasn't serviced his car in 2 or 3 years. On this car here, this is the guy that always works on his car and puts way too much tire pressure in it. That's what I got to say. And on this tire here, this guy is on the 3rd hole and he's not drinking soda pop no more. So to check your tire pressure, on electric cars, we do 22 pounds. On gas cars, we do 20. And that's a rule of thumb with E-Z-GO and Club Car. And we're going to adjust it up. This is an electric. We're going to adjust it up to 22 pounds. And that is perfect. Now, what I want to say is maybe today you might want to take a kid out to the driving range or take him to the golf course, and let's try to be kind to one another.